Hey everyone, and welcome to Superhero Speak Interview Edition. I'm your host, Dave.
I'm the other host, Don.
And we have a very special guest with us tonight. His name is synonymous with Spider-Man in the Marvel Universe. You might know him from, I don't know, Brand New Day, uh, uh, Spectacular Spider-Man, Brand New Day, of course. We're going to talk about that. Of course, you've got, I can't, oh my God, my mind just went blank. Ren and Stimpy.
Oh man, that's a deep cut.
I think that's where I know you from originally too. So of course,
that was my first monthly gig.
This is the one and the only Dan Slott. How are you doing, sir?
Hey, good. We were just talking before going on air, and I'm like, I am so beyond stressed because I owe 2 Superman scripts and an opening scene for Spider-Man. But that's a nice, that's my diamond shoes are too tight kind of a problem.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, you did say you have a lot to do. We're not going to keep you too long, but I do.
It's all good.
I do want to ask you, because you are synonymous with Spider-Man for a good 20 years now at this point, and was Spider-Man always the goal? Like, was that? Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yes.
And what do you remember the first Spider-Man book you read?
Yeah, I do. It was a Marvel Tales reprint of a fight he had with Electro, where it's a done-in-one story, and he totally gets his ass kicked. Where he starts the story is he needs money, as always, to pay bills and blah, blah, blah. And he goes, well, I can get on a TV show as Spider-Man. They'll interview me.
Right.
But Electro's one of the electricians at the show. So when he shows up and he's doing the show, Electro just like, oh, it's Spider-Man. I'll humiliate him on TV. And he does. And by the end of the story, Spider-Man's had his costume burnt. He has to repair it. He doesn't have the money. They're not going to pay him. And Electro got away. And to me, that was like, wow, that would never happen to Batman.
I'd say that would be shocking.
But yeah, it was that, and I bought 2. It was Marvel 2-in-1 38. Marvel Team Up 38. Okay. Spider-Man and the Beast versus the Griffin. And the reason I bought them, Tom Brevoort makes me tell this story all the time. Whenever we're on a panel, he just finds it endearing. The long and short of it is, Spider-Man was going to come to my local 7-Eleven in Stockton, California, and sign books. And I was the right age to completely fall for that. That like a little Jewish boy who never had the Easter Bunny or Santa Claus. And I just was like, Spider-Man's like, there was a big sign in the window. And I knew what comic books were. Like I'd seen my cousins read them, and my cousin shared his comics when I would visit with him. But it never dawned on me to buy them for myself and to own them. And I ran into the store. I wanted to meet Spider-Man because the Spider-Man cartoon was on syndication. It was my favorite thing in the world.
Me too.
And when I went in, I was like, how do I meet Spider-Man? The guy's like, well, you have to buy a comic and he'll autograph it. And I'm like, where are the comics? And the guy pointed to the spinner rack. And it was my local 7-Eleven. I'd been in there a million times, and it's just like, just blinders. I never noticed there's a giant spinner rack of comics. And I had no money. So I like waited for my dad on the stoop. And when he came home after a long commute, I was like clinging to his leg, like as he's walking, like, Dad, I need money. I have to meet Spider-Man. And he said, you're old enough to do chores now. So if you do some chores, we'll start you on an allowance. And he gave me 2 quarters.
Wow.
So I did 2 comics for Spider-Man to sign. And nice. when I went there, I camped out. I got there super early because I wanted to see Spider-Man swing in. And I was just sitting there looking at the sky, like waiting for Spider-Man to show up. And it was California, suburban California. There are no tall buildings. And I started worrying, like, how's Spider-Man going to get here?
Right.
Yes.
And this is like during the Jimmy Carter era and gas shortages. And there are all these trucks and cars all along the freeway up to the 7-Eleven and the off-ramp.
Mm-hmm.
and they all started moving aside like they would for an emergency vehicle. Everyone started like just wall-to-wall cars back then, going very slowly.
Right.
And this red pickup truck is weaving in and out. And it's these two guys in the 70s that had access to the Spider-Man costume. So one guy is just standing in the bed of the truck, arms akimbo. And everyone's like cheering, like, yeah. And I totally bought That's How Spider-Man Would Arrive. And I'm the only one there on the curb. No one else is waiting for Spider-Man. No one gives a shit.
Right.
And this thing comes, right off the freeway, pulls up into the parking lot. And this guy, for my benefit and my benefit only, I'm the only one there. He just decides to mess with my head. He leaps out of the pickup truck and lands in a Spider-Man crouch.
Wow.
And then he just gets up and he walks into the 7-Eleven. And I was so stunned, I could not talk to him. I just handed him the comics and he signed them and he handed them back. And I just kind of kept staring at him and I didn't know. And then eventually I kind of went home. But that screwed me up for life.
I was going to say, I can understand then why you fell in love with Spider-Man after that. Wow.
Yeah, I got 2 quarters. I got 1 quarter a week, and so my 4 to 5 books were always it was a Spider-Man book, either Marvel Tales or Amazing.
Mm-hmm.
There was no spec back then, and Marvel Team Up, so I could meet another hero. And then I bought Detective or Batman and Brave and Bold, so I could get Batman and another hero. And then for my 5th book, I loved the Fantastic Four, and my favorite character was the Thing. So I bought not FF, I bought 2-in-1, so I could see the Thing and another hero if I had money for a 5th book. And those were my books growing up.
Nice.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Well, that's so funny. You definitely got the better deal per Christian children, because they're always running away from Santa Claus and the Easter Bunny, but no one runs away from Spider-Man. So you got the good end there. That is an awesome story. And I love the 7-Eleven part, because my mom used to work at a 7-Eleven. And one of my favorite things was Monday nights, I would go to work with her and I would just sit there and read the comics on the spinner rack. They had one arcade cabinet I'd play. And that was awesome. So I good old days where you could just walk in, get some gas, pick up a comic.
Are you guys old enough that they had the 7-Eleven Marvel Slurpee cups?
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
And you had the whole collection, and it was the greatest nightmare of your life if you walked into the kitchen and your mom would put them in the dishwasher, because those fuckers melted around the shape of the prime. And then you had to pray you could go back and I hope they have the Vision cup still. I need the Vision.
No, unfortunately, my parents didn't take me to 7-Eleven when I was a kid, so I didn't get those cups. I did have would get the McDonald's collector's cups. Remember those?
I'm Burger King did they did Empire Strikes Back.
Yes.
Yeah. Actually
I
have
had
those.
Those. McDonald's did the Batman Forever glass.
Yes.
Ones. I have those. The I am a sucker. My gal has to tell me, she's kind of stops me from getting more Toon tumblers, because it's like getting the 7-Eleven cups, but they're glass.
Yeah.
It's the exact same art.
Yes.
And it makes me so happy.
Who was your favorite writer growing up on the book?
Well, when I grew up, it was Jerry.
Okay.
Was writing it, and Stan, because I was reading 3 eras at the same time, because I was reading Amazing, Marvel Tales, and the Pocket Comics.
Okay, yes.
So I was reading Stan and Steve, Stan and John Sr., and then I was reading the Ross Andrew, Jerry Conway, all at once. And I was able to, even though I'm a little kid, I could keep the timelines separate.
Okay.
But it never dawned on me I wasn't seeing Captain Stacy in the later books. And then I hit that Marvel Tales issue.
Yeah.
I was in tears. I was and he knew who he was. No.
Oh, yes. And then Gwen.
Yeah, it's like you when you talk to people at like different like toy companies or video games, or they always think that like fans won't be able to handle multiple continuities, or
True.
oh, that's Spectacular Spider-Man the cartoon, and that's this, and they won't understand. Yet we can, you know, Spider-Verse is proven we can track it all, no matter how old we are.
I think the fans can handle it. People who grew up reading the books, we understand multiverses and all that kind of stuff. But the casual fans who now watch the movies, sometimes I think they get turned off when it start getting too crazy. My girlfriend is a great example of that. She's like, you know, oh, multiverse, I'm out. You know, so
I think the multiverse is kind of played, and I'm glad we're all kind of slowly moving away from it. But I do hope we get some last good hurrahs from like the, you know, from your Doomsdays, from your Beyond the Spider-Verse, from, you know, whatever. The minute you got a movie like Everywhere All at Once, and suddenly indie films are doing multiverse movies, then you're like, we haven't jumped the shark, but wow, now look at someone doing this with a level of artistry that's like, damn, we were just jerking around having fun.
So I have to ask, because this was the book that made me buy Ren and Stimpy comics. I believe there's a Powdered Toast Man story with Spider-Man in it. Is that the first Spider-Man story you got published?
It's tricky because like my earliest appearances, I'd only been at Marvel as like a college intern for like months, or and I scored some stories, and one was like a Speedball backup in New Warriors Annual #1. And I thought, for the life of me, so many books in my career have been the okay, now you've done this, everything else is gravy. You know, like, oh, this is, you know, I could stop now and everything is great. I'll keep going. But I thought like this might be my only shot. So I wrote this story for Speedball, which involved him constantly meeting other Marvel characters in a short story. So I got just like, I'm going to get this out of my system. So there's like, he hangs out with Spider-Man for half a page, and the Beast and the Invisible Woman and She-Hulk and Katie Power, and like one character after another. He just keeps bumping into people, and it's part of the story. But that got some of it out of my system. And then I did a Venom supersized special, Planet of the Symbiotes. I did a backup with Mark Bagley, set in the era where Peter Parker had the black costume, the alien suit, and it was wearing him at night, and he didn't know. So he was kind of like sleep fighting. He was like a somnambulist superhero. So I did like a missing tale of that you find out when he was having one of those sleep adventures. It was with Jean DeWolf. Helping him out. And Jean DeWolf, before he takes off, pulls him aside and goes, "There's something I need to confess to you." And she tells Spider-Man that she loves him.
That's right. I remember that.
Like a brother. You know, like, you mean so much to me. And I just didn't want to go without telling you. So Peter never heard it.
Right. He was asleep.
Because he was asleep. And we got to see it like, no. So that's my real done in one 616 Spider-Man story. And the other one was, well, it's 616 Spider-Man, but he's only in there for a few panels. And then there's the Powdered Toast Man Spider-Man. I pushed for that like a madman. Mainly because I wanted to do more superhero stuff. And I knew I'd be taking the piss out of it if I did it in Ren and Stimpy. But Ren and Stimpy was my base. And let me tell you, the Spider Office was not happy with that issue. We did not run it by them for approval because it's a joke. It's like a what the, or a, you know, it's just a silly, not brand X kind of. It's not continuity. But what happened was the sales on it were phenomenal. The sales were great, and it outsold some Spider stuff. And I don't know if you remember, Toys R Us and other companies had these. They would sell these 3 expensive Marvel comics in a cardboard thing with a sleeve that you could see one of them.
Right.
And they had like Marvel had unending crates of some of those hologram covers, like the Spider Armor, Web of Spider-Man and stuff.
Oh yeah.
And they had to unload this stuff. So they were making those 2 of the books. But the book you put in the window is the book that moves it.
Right.
Yeah.
It's the book that's going to get the people to buy it. And when they made that, the Ren and Stimpy 6, and they printed up copies so that it wasn't the thing they had to get rid of. It was the thing that it was the cheese and the trap. That made the Spider office really upset. And I believe they went to then EIC Tom DeFalco and said, they don't get to do that anymore. Like all this stuff has to be run by us. And we were actually going to do it every year with a different Marvel hero. And we actually had a Powdered Toast Man Captain America thing set up where during the story he was going to get covered in egg batter and become Powdered French Toast Man, the haughty, insolent, insulting hero that no one likes.
Oh man,
Captain America would have to stop him. And yeah,
why did Marvel? Why they shut that down? That's great.
Yeah, so there you go. There's a story we never got to do.
Yeah, exclusive superhero speak exclusive. Marvel shut down.
Well, I find it even more amusing because my error when I really got into Spider-Man was Tom DeFalco and Ron Friends.
Oh, they're wonderful.
Yeah, and I've told the story before. I mean, people who've been following the podcast for a while, like early on, I was Facebook friends with Tom DeFalco, and I asked him if he wanted to come on, and he's like, "Oh yeah, sure." And he's like, "Do you mind if I bring my friend Ron along?" And it was like, and I swear, we were doing the podcast for about a year at that point, and it was like the greatest for me at that moment. It was like one of the greatest moments for me in my life. Like, oh my god.
I totally get that. When like I got to meet Jerry Conway because when the death threat started coming in for Amazing 700, and it was all over the news, he cold called me. He got my contact information from Marvel, and he just went like, hey, "How are you doing?" And we were just chatting, and he was lovely. He was saying that if social media existed back when he killed Gwen Stacy, he would have gotten this too.
Yeah, exactly.
We started talking back and forth, and Jerry became like a pal, and you're like, this is so cool. And one time we were both invited to the New York premiere of Amazing Spider-Man 2, the one with Electro and where Gwen died. And they had this insane after party, where it was like, I can't even begin to tell you what a Sony after party kind of thing. It's madness.
Yeah.
Like at one point I was like sitting behind Pharrell playing the drums, behind Pharrell's giant hat, and Alicia Keys is singing, and you're just like, what is this? Yeah, it was people coming up to you going, would you like a Peter Parkatini? Sure. Just like, and I'm hanging out there with Jerry Conway, and suddenly the director and one of the heads of Sony come up, and they go, what did you think of our movie? And we were saying all the most polite things we could.
Yeah,
sure.
And then Jerry like goes, are you doing anything tomorrow? I'm like, no. He's like, you want to get breakfast? I'm like, sure. And the next morning, this was like one of my like top 3 being on Spider-Man that long moments was I got to sit in a New York diner with Jerry Conway, and we're eating pancakes, and we're just shit talking.
Yeah.
we're just having fun, just talk. I was like, I can't believe I'm doing this with a guy who wrote Spider-Man when I was a kid.
Yeah, man.
Oh yeah.
The next coming in at a close number 2, I was a big supporter of the Spider-Man musical.
Oh boy.
I'd kind of made fun of it, and they offered me some tickets to go see like the preview stuff. And I went to see it, and then I was like, these guys are like, they're trying their hardest. They're doing this thing, and people are getting hurt for it.
Oh yeah.
I ended up seeing it like either 5 or 7 times because they kept sending me tickets.
Right.
And I would take friends, and I was just like, I just loved everyone who worked on that show. But I was there. They retooled it. They got this Marvel writer, Roberto Aguirre-Sacasa, to go, okay, we know our play isn't working. You can scrap the book, use the music. You could write some new lyrics. You can't create any new costumes or sets, but just using what we have, can you make a better musical?
Right.
And then that was version 2. And version 2 was 100% better than version 1. It was still not that good, but he did a miracle, by elevating that much. And so I got to go for the premiere of that. And for the premiere, they had me sitting on the top of a double-decker Spider-Man bus, kind of hosting the social media aspects of the red carpet. And then when that was over, the red carpet and the thing's we had all these fans who'd won all these tickets to be on the bus with us. I got to turn around and be Oprah and go, you get tickets to the show, and you're going to the opening. Everyone's going to the opening. And then we all went in, and they gave me and the person I was with these great, like, private box seats. Like one of the, like, you almost like you're in the Renaissance, and you're like, I am here to be seen.
Yeah.
In my little box. And it was one of the boxes that Spider-Man actually lands on during the thing. And it was cool. But so I get this great look down at all the celebrities,
right,
who are all there. And this is like the coolest thing, because one celebrity showed up and they out celebrity'd everybody else. Like, it changed the ecosystem of the room.
Yeah.
Bill Clinton and Chelsea showed up.
Oh boy.
And suddenly, and you could see it. Like, there's Jay-Z, and he's trying to sidle up to Clinton, but be cool about it. Or there's all these, like, Steve Martin, or Cindy Crawford. There's all these people, like, trying to get to Clinton. And he was so slick. The first thing he did, he ignored all the celebrities, and he went right to the men in uniform and thanked them all for their service.
Yeah.
It was so good. Okay, now Bono and The Edge wrote all the music.
Right.
And they were like producers, so they had front row center seats. Bono still wanted to sit next to Clinton, that he swapped seats with Chelsea. So Chelsea and The Edge were sitting in the front, and Bill Clinton and Bono were sitting right below me. I get to see Bill Clinton and Bono. And there's, like, when people say, like, what was your Spider-Man time like? This is like, my brain will flash. This is moment number 2, was just seeing Bill Clinton mesmerized by the Green Goblin and Spider-Man swinging overhead, and, like, elbowing Bono, going, look at that.
I've always heard that about that Bill Clinton, that he's very smooth, and he's, I mean, he obviously he got elected. He's charming, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's the whole thing. I do want to ask you. So you did bring up a lot of the controversies around some of the stuff you've written, and on all the online stuff. So obviously, I'm not trying to bash or anything, but obviously, One More Day is one of those books that, like, a lot of fans didn't like. They didn't like the eraser of the marriage.
It's probably the most controversial Spider-Man story of all time.
So when they
more than Clone Saga.
Yes, and it's funny because when Tom was on the show, we talked about Clone Saga a lot. But then you are now going to go write the follow-up for something that's extremely controversial. What were you thinking when you said, okay, I'm resetting Spider-Man back to square one, and here we go? Like, what was going through your head when you were told to write the follow-up?
When I I had 2 careers at Marvel. I had a career in the 90s when I did Ren and Stimpy, and I was trying to break into the superhero side. And eventually DC offered me more, oh, well, you come over here and do Animaniacs and Scooby-Doo and Powerpuff Girls and Dexter's Lab, and I had a home there for a while.
Right.
And then eventually that led to stuff like Batman Adventures and Justice League Adventures.
Yes.
And an editor went, if I imagine your scripts without the Bruce Timm style art, these are good superhero stories. Would you like to write some? And that led to Batman Arkham Asylum. And once I did that, the doors were open for me back at Marvel. And they brought me in to do superhero stuff. But I was still doing quirky cult books like She-Hulk.
Yeah.
But they invited me to one of their retreats. And that's like that's the show. They don't invite all the writers. It's a handful of writers get to go to the summit. And when you're in that room, that's when opportunities happen. That's when someone goes, oh, I'm going to be leaving Captain America in a couple months. And now, before it even goes out into the ecosystem, one of these other writers who's in the handful of the room go, hey, I'd like to take a crack at that. And suddenly the Captain America book's locked up.
Yeah.
I was just using it as an example, but it could be anything.
Right.
But I got to be in there because I'm trying to remember. One person was sick, and another person, I think it was Mark Miller. It's not Millar, it's Miller.
Yes, I know.
It's Marcos Martin Mjolnir. So Loki. Where am I going? Mark Miller couldn't be there. So suddenly they were like 2 chairs down. And Brevoort said, Dan's really good in the room. I think he could help, and we don't have to fly him into New York. We don't have to put him up in the hotel. And Quesada was like, okay, but just make sure he doesn't talk too much. And I think before he said that, I think he said something like, well, we do have it catered. So like I was brought in to eat. like why let that food go to waste? We paid good money for it.
Oh my God.
No, but so I got to be in that. My first retreat, I did really well. Where anytime I threw out a suggestion, it was either something they had already come up with, which meant I thought like them.
Right.
Or it was something they never thought of. And they went, oh, that's great. So every single thing I did, and I had no dogs in any fight. No one was going to be stepping on my She-Hulk book. And I walked out of that retreat with Avengers: The Initiative.
Right.
As my more serious book.
Yeah.
And they kept inviting, and they said, keep bringing them back. So I was like a staple in the retreats for like 20 years. But I remember being in an early retreat where I was scrambling to get I'm working on She-Hulk, but the other assignments I'm getting are Great Lake Avengers or, the Thing book, which didn't last long. And I was like, oh man, I want to write a flagship book.
Right.
But I was having a hard time. And I remember being in the room when JMS and Joe talked about One More Day, where JMS told everyone he would be leaving at such and such a date, and they were building up to this big story. And both he and Joe were telling everyone how it was going to work. And I remember thinking, well, I'm in the room. I'm going to be helpful. I'm going to throw out suggestions. That's why I'm here in the room. That's why we're all in the room. Right. But I remember thinking, one, there's no way I'm getting Spider-Man. I'm the She-Hulk guy. And I also remembered thinking, good luck whoever's writing Spider-Man. That is a controversial story. That is a that is a big story that is going to really rock everybody. But Joe and JMS's credit, they were looking at we're going to do the best story we can. There won't be a dry eye in the house, and we're going to nail this, and we're going to hit the landing. And there was this very much feeling and you have to look at Joe Quesada's track record up to there.
Yeah.
Everything he was doing at Marvel, Civil War and this and that and the other, it was golden. And Marvel's and so much of that was Joe Quesada's gut of him going, yeah, this works. No, that's not working. So like, I remember being very much in awe of watching, like, you wouldn't have the Marvel books, some of the greatest Marvel books of that era, without Joe's involvement and Joe being the guy in the EIC chair. So like, good ones I can think of are the original Planet Hulk story was going to be like one trade. It was going to be this short arc.
Right.
And Joe went, Greg, you're mad. You're insane. You put him on that planet. I want to see an adventure. I want to see him go from gladiator to king. I want that planet to have a mythology. I want that planet to, you go off, rethink this.
Yeah.
Don't think of it as one tiny arc before he comes back. Make this the epic. Planet Hulk is much larger than you're saying right now. Yeah. So that was a Joe Quesada thing. And Joe Quesada was also like with Brubaker, the Bucky Cap era was going to be much shorter. And he was like, no, this is Bucky's time to be Cap.
Yeah.
Let's stretch that out. Let's play with this. Let's see what's going to happen. So there's all kinds of, or the way that Joe would hold court in these retreats and how he was watching people duel it out with the bigger ideas. A lot of that, like his hand was guiding stuff. So
right.
He had this tremendous track record. So there was this feeling of like, trust in Joe. Just trust in Joe and in JMS.
Okay.
And we'll see where this is going to go. But I remember thinking that whatever happened, it wasn't going to be something I was going to be dealing with. Like it was going to be so far beyond my pay rate. And what ended up happening was this was around the time the original 52 came out.
Oh, yeah.
And there had been running talks at Marvel over the years that Amazing Spider-Man sells this well. And we put out 3 books a month, and Web or Friendly Neighborhood or Spec or whatever. There's always there used to always be 2 satellites. And this one would sell this well, and this one would sell over here, and this one would sell down there. And there was always this idea of, why don't we just call all 3 of them Amazing Spider-Man? Why don't we just get all the writers together and run it like a TV writer's room and pass it off like a baton race? And we'll have one voice, like a kind of, the way they do in the TV writer's room. And we'll put out 3 issues of Amazing, and they'll all sell at Amazing level, and we'll make more money. And every editor was like, I don't know how to do that. Like, that's crazy.
Right.
But then they looked over at 52 and saw Steve Wacker and went, this guy's doing a weekly comic.
Yeah.
And they poached him. And they said, how would you like an easier life where you're only doing 3 comics a month instead of once a week? How would you like to come over to Marvel and be a bigger deal and you be the guy on Amazing? And he took the gig. So naturally, I had worked with Steve over at DC doing like Justice League Adventures and stuff.
Right.
So he knew me. And no one knew they were going to do this. They were going to do the 3 Amazings. And they were going to use Brand New Day as the perfect way to start that. In my head, I was thinking far more that people were going to take a bigger offense to not a major continuity shakeup, but the fact that we were going to reach into their wallet and ask them to pay for Spider-Man 3 times a month.
Yeah.
I thought that was going to be the thing that was going to rattle people. So when you look at my original opening page of my original script didn't have Spider-Man Peter Parker kissing the girl in the club.
Okay.
My original opening page was the Spider Mugger holding the gun to you, the reader, going, shut the fuck up and give me your money. Because I thought I would just be funny about it.
Yeah.
Perfect.
That was always my original opening page.
Oh, man.
And then, but the first issue, especially the first issue and the Free Comic Book Day issue, we had a whole team of writers. Everyone wanted to make sure all the ideas were that, like, the first ones were setting the tone for everything. So there was a long laundry list of all this stuff has to be in the first issue or the Free Comic Book Day issue. It was so that's why he had that I'm chasing Overdrive all through the city.
Yeah.
And oh, look, there's Jackpot, and there's that, and there's this, and there's that. It was just a chance to go. It was the loosest story so that we could grow. Here's all the elements. And I remember writing an email. We had these group emails that went on forever. I remember sending an email going, I can't get everything into both issues. Like, these are the things that aren't going to make it. Either just because I still have to tell this story about Spider-Man and the Feast Center and Mr. Negative, and that's my opening 3-parter. Anyway, when they were putting together the teams, they said to Steve, how do we do this? And Steve told them, no alpha dogs. We can't have an alpha dog. I don't want a big name writer on the book. I want a team. I want guys who are going to be well together in the room and like working together and enjoy each other's company, and where we all kind of sound the same. I want a team. And he started putting the team together. And I can tell you story after story after story of like putting the team together, which was fun because I think Guggenheim was first. And then I think it was Guggenheim, me, Bob frickin' Back to the Future Gale.
Oh, right.
Yeah. Like, holy Moses. When I teach writing courses to kids, I cite they get sick of me mentioning Back to the Future, for like how to structure a story, how to do setup and payoff, and how to do, they get sick of me talking about Back to the Future and Die Hard. Like my 2 things I hold up for. Here's how you structure a Swiss watch.
Right.
But we got Bob Gale, and then Zeb was the 4th. And I remember we had this email chain. It was an epic email chain that was always running and someone was always commenting on. And I remember jumping in like to meet Mark Guggenheim and everyone on the team on the email chain. And I was like, there's a story I've always wanted to do with Spider-Man. I just wanted to throw it out there now so I can be the guy to do it. Where I always thought, like, from everyone's point of view, Peter Parker is like a paparazzi stalking Spider-Man. Like, as far as they know, like, oh my God, that jerk, wherever I go, he shows up and he takes my picture.
Yeah.
And I thought, like, if the Bugle or whoever stopped saying we're not buying Spider-Man pictures anymore, I want to do a story where like the person running that section goes, Pete, you're really good at this paparazzi stuff. Have you thought about going after somebody else?
Right.
Like, there's these celebrities. If we can get this thing, we'll give you like $1 million for this photo. So I want to do the story where you would start the story where Peter would make the morally compromised choice.
Right.
I'm going to be a paparazzi, where we know by the end of the arc, he'll have the $1 million photo and he'll rip it up and I won't do it. So that'll be the arc. And the fact that he's getting these photos, it's fueling a new superpowered character who's a super stalker who loves that character. And he's realizing, oh my God, and that became Paper Doll. And so I had this story I wanted, Peter Parker paparazzi, and I threw it into the group email. And Mark immediately chimed in, no, I've had that story and I want to tell that story. Oh man. He's like, but you threw it out there first. It's yours. And I'm like, well, thank you, Mark. This is a nice way to start our relationship.
Yeah.
And then Bob Gale gets introduced into the chain. And Bob Gale is like, we're all like over the moon that we're talking with Bob Gale.
Yeah.
And Bob Gale goes, I always had this idea for a Spider-Man story where, because he's like a paparazzi to Spider-Man. I'm like, no, Bob, I nailed it. It's in the email. You can go up and look in the chain. It's my story.
But that had to feel really good that Bob Gale thinks the way that you do. Like that had to be.
And then Zeb comes on to the thing, and then we have our first big retreat.
Yeah.
And we were told in the retreat, and I'm an idea guy. That's my strength. I will come up with a zillion ideas. So yeah, whenever someone says, "Hey, do you want an idea?" I'm like, "No, screw you. That's the fun part."
Right.
Yeah, I have a great Spider-Man idea for you. I'm like, "Yeah, hey, come over here, eat my ice cream. I'll eat the broccoli." Fuck you.
Exactly. Yeah.
No, the idea is the fun part. So like we were asked to come with all these ideas
Right.
for our first meeting, and I had this like yellow legal pad, and the whole thing was like scrunched. It was filled, and we keep throwing ideas out, and I'm throwing out an idea, and the next guy's throwing out an idea, and then I throw out an idea, and the other guy throws it, and then I throw out an idea, and it just becomes this like really lopsided. I've thrown out like 50 ideas, but everyone else has thrown out ideas, and at one point, like Joe was like, "Dan, you can stop." Just stop.
Right.
I'm like, oh, okay, I'll put this away. And then we hit this thing where they look all around at all the ideas that have been written up, and they go, okay, now we're setting up the schedule. Who wants to write what stories? And there was like a lottery, like as far as I'm concerned, where like I won. Like they let me write the free comic book day issue and the first arc out of the box. But the first arc was going to be my Mr. Negative. The second was going to be the paparazzi story, the one I wanted to get to immediately.
Right.
So we're all picking the stories. And then Zeb goes, I really like that paparazzi one. Can I do that one? And Joe didn't know about all the email chains.
Right.
And Joe was like, yeah, sure. And I was like, but. And then they were like, Dan, you can't write all of them.
Yeah.
So, but it was a really nice, I had a call with Zeb where he was like trying to break down the paparazzi story. And he was like, yeah, he was like, can you help me with this? And I was like, dude, you got this. You're Zeb, you got this. And I think he could hear from my voice, that like you want to write this.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah. And he's like, okay, I'll find a different story. You write the paparazzi story.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny because like all this does make it more endearing. And what I was getting is I think it's completely unfair that got a lot of flack online, Brand New Day, because people didn't like the story that led up to it.
I remember like when 546 came out, like my first ever, like not a free comic book day issue, my first issue of Amazing Spider-Man.
Right.
It was a cold day. It was January, and in New York, and I bundled up, and I went knowing when the store would open, and I was gonna get my first copy, and I was all happy. And I remember coming home and like checking out YouTube, and there was this person who was like kind of following my journey. Like they went to the store first thing, and they got their 546, and they turned to the person who had the camera with them, who'd been following him, and he go, and here's what I think. And they started tearing it up without reading it.
Oh man.
And I remember seeing this guy like, no, like what did I do? I remember like being gutted. You didn't even read it.
Well, and let's be fair, right? Like we've all been reading comics a long time, and very few things in comics are permanent. And I think a lot of fans thought, "Oh, this deal with Mephisto, that's not permanent. It's going to change." And here we are, and it's still standing.
Yeah.
I was very. Sometimes my tone doesn't come across when I'm writing things on a message board or somewhere.
Oh yeah.
Kind of exasperated, going, guys, like I see all the ways this happened and how this all came about and why Marvel wanted to do this. And it's not getting undone. They've been trying to, the marriage happened very quickly. The marriage happened because Stan Lee did it in the dailies.
Yes.
And then they had the whole big thing in the baseball stadium. And then it became a whole thing. And Marvel's like, well, we'll do it in the comics.
Yeah.
And then once it gets done, with the exception of Jim Salicrup and Tom DeFalco, once you kind of get out of their eras, because they were totally cool with it.
Yeah.
And DeMatteis was cool with it in the way that, like, I would say, like, the most seminal Peter and Mary Jane are married story is Craven's Last Hunt.
Yes.
And there was a draft of that where they weren't married because the marriage happened quickly.
Yes, yes.
So in my mind, I like to think of the Schrodinger's cat of it, of that story still would have been this really great story.
Yes.
But the fact that they were married, it did up the stakes. So, like, when you ask Mark, Mark DeMatteis, when you ask Mark, was it important they're married? He'll go, yeah, it was. Because it took him down different paths when he was writing it, and it made the story something different in his mind. But I keep thinking there's a sliding doors universe where I could go into that world and read that book, and I trust Mark's talent enough to think it would still be brilliant.
Yeah.
But once you get past Salicrup and Tom, there really is this move from everyone on editorial of, holy God, we got to undo this. Like, we've taken Spider-Man too far. We've taken him. Brevoort says youth. I don't believe youth. That's there's like a thing called the Spider Manifesto that haunts me because Tom wrote it as a fun thing. He wrote it very much like a Jerry Maguire, like, oh, I did this thing, and people think because it's called the Spider Manifesto that it was something that was held over our heads, and we have to do it this way. That is not the case.
Yeah.
If you look at the things that are laid out in the Spider Manifesto, we were all breaking those things. Like, it was Tom going, I had these thoughts and I wanted to share them with you.
Right.
It wasn't like marching orders, but it had the word manifesto in it because Spider-Man.
Right.
But yeah, it's a manifesto. But everyone on editorial was trying to undo this, whether it was, oh, he was a clone, and now we're bringing in Ben Reilly, or she was trapped in an aircraft thing that went down. And they were always trying to figure a way, is there a way to undo this? So I know the whole Mephisto thing rubs people the wrong way, for people who are mad about it. But my take is, it's not the method they did it. It's the fact they pulled off the Band-Aid. So many editorial divisions and people and powers that be and people above pay rates, like Farb, the editor-in-chiefs, didn't want this marriage. Did it get undone? Yes. Did people sit around and actually have a talk about, oh, well, why didn't they just get divorced? Well, that won't play well in the South. Oh, but the devil will. Blah, blah, blah. It's like we're in message board.
Yeah.
But the fact that the Band-Aid got pulled off, they're not putting it back on. And, not in 616 continuity. You can have Renew Your Vows. You can have Ultimate Spider-Man. You can have The World of Spider-Girl. You can have all these AUs to your heart's content, but they're not going to put the marriage back in the 616. They can date again. They can have the most passionate dating relationship in the world. She can be Spider-Man's one true love. You just can't put a ring on it.
Beyonce would be disappointed, but she doesn't exist in 616. So
no, I'm just saying, because I remember when we were having a big argument in one of the retreats where the original Spider-Verse storyline was going to be part of the Superior Spider-Man storyline.
Okay.
It was going to be the penultimate arc. And that's when Peter, the ghost Peter, would come back at the end of that.
Right.
But you're going to have this giant, the way I'd sold it was, it's every Spider-Man ever. And the inheritors are chasing them down and trying to kill them all.
Mm-hmm.
And Doc Ock, who everyone thinks is Peter of 616, goes, "Hey, I'm the only one who's beaten Inheritor." He just lies because I've done it twice. I've defeated Moreland. So I should be in charge. So it was going to be effectively Joker leading an army of Batmen.
Right.
It was going to be this messed up, big fireworksy story where Doc Ock would prove his worth against every spider in existence before finally getting his big comeuppance against the Green Goblin.
Right.
And when it came time for us to do that, to put that story in this is the thing we've been talking about in the catalog, which is 3 months into the future.
Yes.
You'll see that like the free comic book day issue of Spider-Verse actually is a year early because we were going to do it a year earlier. But then that's a May thing that, the free comic book day came out in May. But when we were coming up to the point in the calendar where we were getting ready to do Spider-Verse,
right,
we had a retreat. And in the retreat, one of the things that happens in the retreat is you tell everyone, here's what I've been doing for 6 months. Here's what I'm doing now, and here's where I'm going. And sometimes people muddle that in their brain, and it slides. And when I was walking everyone through Spider-Verse, Axel Alonso, who was then editor-in-chief, went, wait. Spider-Verse is an Otto story? I'm like, yeah. Oh, no. You only get one chance to do a Spider-Verse. That's a Peter Parker story. You are not doing that in Superior. And I was like, but we're ready to go. Like, we've been talking about this, and it became a big fight in the room.
Yeah.
And only Steve Wacker and I were on the side of just let us do our thing. And everybody, whether it was Bendis or Hickman or everybody, Remender, everyone was like, no, you're ruining it. It should be a Peter story. Trust us. We're writers and people want to see this happen to Peter. At one point, like early on, like I'd said, because Axel went, this is Peter's story. And I'm like, Peter's in this story. There's like 100 Peters in this story.
Right.
And Axel said, not the real one. So that was like, it just became a thing.
To be honest, though, as a reader, I probably would have gotten worried at that point, thinking, oh, is this permanent? Is Doc Ock permanently Spider-Man now? If you were going to go that far with the story. So,
what happened was that got moved, and one of my big arguments was, if you guys, you're not thinking this through, especially you, Jonathan, because if we move Spider-Verse a year into the future, it's going to fall right before Secret Wars. So I'm going to do a big ass story with every alternate universe Spider-Man, and then we're going to have a multiversal, Dr. Doom. And Jonathan, he's like the most chill guy ever. And he's like, everything's going to be fine. You tell your story, I'll tell my story. Don't worry about it. It's going to work. And then it comes time, and we're all like, okay, everyone's planning what their Secret Wars story is going to be.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, what the hell do I do? I've just told every Spider-Man ever. And now for 5 months, I'm going to tell a story of one of them that you've already seen. I'm like, oh, look, it's Spider-Man in a suit of armor. Spider-Man is a conquistador. Like, what I'm going to do for like 5 issues, that's so boring. It's such a step down. I'll lose so many readers for 5 months on the flagship book. And everyone's like, no, just pick a cool Spider-Verse character you created. And I go to Brevoort, like, no. I got to go off and rack my brains and think of like the one Spider-Verse character that we didn't show you that will freak you out the most. And I said, I got it. And he's like, what? And I'm like, married Spider-Man. Let's everyone in the world will want to come on and read, oh my God, Peter and MJ are still married and they have a kid. And Tom was like, you need to pitch this to Joe. You need Joe's blessing on this. Like the amount of shit Joe took from so many people.
Yeah.
And this was like it was one of the hardest things in my career was to go to Joe and go, Joe, I want to do married Spider-Man for my Secret Wars. That was like,
man, that's priceless.
Yeah, and Joe was like, you've done good work for us. I trust you. I trust you to do this right. And that was renew your vows. And so Joe was always great with me. I could have seen a world where I could have gotten like a haymaker or something. I'd been sitting on the other side of that.
So I am curious. Let's talk a little bit about the book because you know that's on the stands now. Actually, also real quick, people who there, I'll put a link up there. There is a review on our channel for the book. I gave it 8 out of 10 capes, just so you know. I am curious because we're talking Brand New Day. Why go back to that era for this story?
I went to CB Cebulski and not knowing what else Marvel was doing at the time, because I've been off in Superman land,
right,
over on DC working on Unlimited. I went to CB and I was like, you've got a movie coming out called Spider-Man Brand New Day.
Yes.
Why aren't you putting out a book called Spider-Man Brand New Day, number one? And the idea being, they've done, like, if you think of like that book Peter David did, they did the book which was Spider-Man the Black Costume Years, and they did that as its own thing, and that ran for some time. And they've done in the past, Kurt Busiek did Untold Tales of Spider-Man, Spider-Man in High School, more stories. And JMS was effectively with Torn. It was called Torn, but it was Spider-Man the College Years. That could have been an ongoing title. So I was like, there's so much you could do with Brand New Day. And he was like, well, like, what could you do with Brand New Day that you couldn't before? And when we were working on Brand New Day, we had to have all our trains in a row and so far up the track.
Right.
So, you know, you constantly had someone working like on all four of us on like their story months into the future for the first chapter. And then it's all moving simultaneously. It was crazy. It was a crazy way to do a book. But one of the things that meant was it was really hard for us to tie into anything else in the Marvel universe because our trains were like 4 months into the future.
Yeah.
So if they were doing something like Secret Wars, who's going to be a Skrull in our book? Who is going to, we're like, well, it can't be any of these characters because we've got these stories. They're well planned into next year. So you would bring in Brian Reed to do a mini series called Amazing Spider-Man, A Secret Invasion. And he'd deal with that. And he'd find a character that we weren't using. So it was always these side projects that weren't us that tied into the Marvel universe because they had to. So what I said was, this is a chance we could play in that era, and we could do stuff that we never could do in Brand New Day that would fit in Brand New Day, like Spider-Man teaming up with the Dave Finch Moon Knight, Spider-Man teaming up with DNA's Guardians, that in the iteration of that era.
Yeah.
We suddenly do this really cool team up book and do them in arcs and do things that fit in the world of Brand New Day. And we're all excited. And I was like, and of course, the first thing you have to do is Punisher.
Right. Was the decision for Punisher to kind of be a loose tie into the movie?
Yeah. People are like, Dan, does Marvel force these things on you? I'm like, no, I'm a whore. I will go to Marvel and go, let's do the most synergistic thing possible, because I know Marvel has to. Marvel has to have 4 things up on that rack and not only do they have to have 4 things up on that rack when the movie's coming out, they need to have planned ahead of time and had 4 things in the past. So by the time they're collected, The
Yeah.
trades can be on the
Yeah.
shelf for when that movie or TV show comes out. So I know this is something that Marvel as an entity needs.
Yes.
And I look at that and I go, I'll happily write Spider-Man in a book, but I'll do something different. If the movie's going to do this,
Right.
I've got to come up with an idea that goes, oh, that's weird. I didn't see that coming. And yet it's still a Punisher story, which is the end beat. So you hit that cliffhanger and go, well, that's going to be weird. So,
Yes.
yeah. And it'll look bitchin'.
And I appreciate it is definitely it's a Spider-Man story first and foremost. There's a lot of good action in it. Of course, you know, I don't want to give too much away, but Kingpin in the beginning of the story, a nice throwaway villain. I love when people do that. And then of course Punisher at the end, and of course Mr. Negative. But like that's, you know, like I appreciate reading a book like that because I don't feel like there's a whole, like, I don't have to worry about 20 other things. Like I read Brand New Day and I can read this and it feels good reading it, you know. And I think that's what makes it a good Spider-Man story, you know.
One of the things I was adamant about was because I know that if you tell a layman or someone, we're going to go to the Brand New Day era and tell some new stories,
Mm-hmm.
they're going to go, the what a hunamana? You know, what are you talking about? When I was a kid, Alex Saviak did these Coca-Cola posters, and I wanted them so bad.
Yeah.
Where if you sent in all these box tops, Marvel sent you this poster. You Google it, go up on eBay and look at these. They're beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Where it would be this giant poster on your wall. When you stand back from it, it looks like a comic book page. But what it is it's all these panels running along the top and then panels running along the side, which tell the origin of the superhero. And then this big image right here is like this iconic, like right off the Slurpee cup of the hero coming at you with the logo. And it's so these big posters that were like the origin of Spider-Man, the origin of the Incredible Hulk, the origin of the Fantastic Four. And I was like, I want to do a page like that in the comic, or like in the original Jerry and Ross Andrews Spider-Man Superman, where they would stop in the treasury and go, a hero identification. So they'd have all of Superman's origin on one page for the Marvel reader. And then I was like, let's do that in the book. Let me call up Marcos Martin and we'll do these. The comic will take a break and in a fun way go, here's everything you need to know in a visually cool way.
Yes.
About here's how he became Spider-Man. And here's how Brand New Day works. And here and it feels almost like the movie. Because we use the one moment in time solution,
right? Which
really is how it worked. And now you go, oh, Doctor Strange did a whammy, just like in the movie.
Well, I have said that I felt like No Way Home did a better job telling the One More Day story than the comic.
I get so pissed when people do that about Spider-Verse. Where when we wrote Spider-Verse, it wasn't the story we originally wanted to tell. It was the story that shoved a year into the future.
Right.
And then we had to reconfigure it all. And then we had to tie in with like 6 other books. And then it was like, and they were all going at different speeds.
Yeah. And
we had 2 artists on the book. It wasn't the artist we were originally going to have. We got a very slow artist working on it. I'm the last person to complain about slow because I am super slow. And then we had a fast artist. And so we never knew like who was going to finish. So I was constantly writing. There was not 2 issues of Spider-Verse that were plotted in order because everyone had to keep drawing.
Right.
It was all scripted in order, but that's like, we're baking the cake as best as we can and we'll make it look good in the icing and fondant. So that was the script. Mm-hmm. People didn't like get to see how this thing came together at lightning speed. And then people turn around and go, oh, that movie they spent 5 years making with the best animation teams in the world. oh, their Spider-Verse movie is so much better than your comic. I'm like, dude,
Aw.
it's Lord and Miller. it's these brilliant genius guys who have huge expense account lunches and giant whiteboards and whole teams of people. And if their section with Mumbattan isn't working with Spider-Man India, they go out and hire the best Indian writers in the world to get their opinions and their takes and go, I'm writing this thing in a tiny little apartment going, oh, right. And then going, wait, Dennis Hopeless did what with Spider-Woman? That wasn't in the, well, I'll now adjust my plot. The crossover. So it's like, one was Meatball Surgery done in very little time. And one is this mega motion picture done over years with people dotting every I and crossing every T. And I'm like, dude, how are you comparing? To me, the magic element, it's not how much money Sony spent on it or how much money Marvel spent on this. It's time. Time is the magic ingredient.
True. And the advantage they have is they can look at the Spider-Verse books and pull out, pieces that they like and pieces that they don't like or didn't go well that they can leave on the cutting room floor.
And also the heart of that story, really, it's the Brian Michael Bendis miniseries Spider-Man.
Yes,
is really the beating heart of the first Spider-Verse movie. It's one of the best superhero movies of all time.
It is,
and there's that feeling people go like, "Oh, it's so much better than yours." I'm like, I'm totally cool with it, and I love that they invited me to the premiere, and I love that they had me help out on the second movie. So trust me, I'm the happiest person in the world about this.
It's awesome.
So, number one is definitely a setup for an arc. And you mentioned a few different arcs. So my question is, how far have you planned to go with this?
Here's the thing, and this is the stuff that initially got us talking in the comments.
Yes, and that's what I'm getting at. So
which is right now, if you look at a Marvel catalog, that if it's not a flagship title, it's one of five. That there's this kind of ethos of where you have to look at it the flip side. Imagine you're a retailer. And imagine Marvel didn't put 1 of 5 on a book, as they used to not do.
Yes.
So imagine you're a retailer and you get the issue 1 and you invest heavily in the issue 1, and then the book's dead at 5, and then you're upset and you're like, Marvel, why didn't you tell me this was 1 out of 5? So Marvel then changes up the game and go, okay, we don't want the retailer mad,
right? So
we're going to put everything. We're going to make everything 1 out of 5 because that's what the only thing we tell our creator teams they're good for. You're good for 1 out of 5.
Right.
That's how much we can guarantee you.
Yeah.
With the idea being that if you blow the doors off, you'll get a 6. But there's a problem with that in the math, which is what we've been talking about, which is the catalog is 3 months into the future.
Right.
So, and there's so many different things vying for your attention if you're a retailer. There's that book with the blind bags, and the Energon universe is doing that. And look at these new Absolute books, and look at this. And that. And it's a very crowded marketplace of ideas, which is great. But if you're a retailer, if you know something's 1 out of 5, you're not going to invest heavily in that number 1. And when it's time to, no matter what the book is, and you're ordering, since you're ordering 3 months into the future, you're ordering your issue 1, your issue 2, and your issue 3. Now, normally the sales patterns and retailers have taught themselves to order like this. 1 is high, 2 is a drastic cut, 3 is more of a cut, and then it peters out around 4. And by then, you've had feedback. You've had proper feedback, so you can adjust slightly. But you usually never go up. You usually just stay even until you hit another event or you hit like a big thing or a creative team change. then you spike back up. So your history of the book is very determined, not just by issue 1, but by issue 1 and issue 2.
So-
if you can slow down that, your issue 1 will always sell better than anything else you do.
Right.
But if you can slow down that incline, then that gives you time until you do the next big Spider Island or whatever.
Okay. So then my question with that is this how Marvel's always done it, or is this since Diamond has gone away? Have they changed how they're, focusing on the 1 of 5?
I don't think it's really about the Diamond or Lunar or whatever of it all.
Okay.
This is just where we are now.
Okay.
And if what it means is, it's frustrating because, like, you look at something like Imperial,
Mm-hmm.
and you look at the books that were tied into Imperial. Did anyone get the fate of like a book like Planet She-Hulk?
Yeah.
Was sealed before a reader got to flip open the cover to number 1.
Yeah, that's bullshit.
That's not fair to that creative team. That's not fair to those ideas. But saying it's not fair, it's like crying about the state of the world. It's not fair that my gas is this high. It's not fair that this is this or that is that. So I look at a book like Spectacular because they made a decision. Okay, instead of it being Spider-Man Brand New Day, we don't want people to think that this is the movie.
Right.
So let's call it Spectacular Spider-Man Brand New Day. Right. And then I'm like, so we are Spectacular now. We are the Spectacular book. We are the satellite book. And I'm like, can I do stories where the story in the past pops into the present? And now I can do a present day storyline for an arc.
Right.
Next to Joe Kelly's Spider-Man. And they're like, and then we started generating ideas. Oh, what if this story, even though we're doing this, it pops these seeds into the future. And I'm like, oh, that could be this whole thing. And suddenly I'm like off to the races going,
right.
Okay, I know what I can do with Spectacular. And then the catalog comes out, and like everything else, it says 1 out of 5. I'm like, oh, Jesus. Because I'm like, we need to tell people it's Spectacular. If we tell people it's Spectacular, you know what I mean. We tell people it is the Spectacular Spider-Man book.
Because exactly.
This is Detective Comics. This is Action Comics. This is this thing, dear retailer, that can sustain itself if you believe. We're spreading the Tinkerbell dust on it, and if you believe, this will stay up in the air. But it means, and we've actually kind of lucked out for how late in the month we are. So, for example, and I've seen people have really good reactions to issue 1 of, oh, it's a street level Spider-Man book where he quips and fights crime. Yes. This is what I want. This is what I want out of my Spider-Man. I would read this. I will read the next issue. Or they did what to the Punisher? I want to read the next issue. That you now have a very tiny window. And that window is till this weekend. This weekend, which is the whatever. It's like the 16th, 17th?
16th and 17th.
So if you can call your retailer and say, I want to put this on my pull list. This is the mad. Okay, so we exist, Don and Dave and me. We exist in the YouTube universe. And in the YouTube universe, every argument is a meltdown. Putting Brie Larson's name all in yellow or Last Jedi all in yellow will get you so many hits.
Yeah, sure.
Woke! So there's certain buzzwords and things that you do in the YouTube sphere that become reality. And I did
note that, Dave. Make sure on this episode we do woke exclamation highlight.
Brie Larson.
Brie Larson. Yes.
Brie Larson in Last Jedi.
I liked Last Jedi.
But it'll get you your bumps.
I know.
Before this happened, I did 2 podcasts, and they were podcasts I always do, which are the Comic Club and Word Balloon.
Yes.
And on each of these podcasts, I talked about 4 things, 4 projects I had. So this was like a quarter of the podcast. was me talking about Spectacular and explaining this. And what I was saying is, if you read my stuff, not if you're someone who hates me, I want you to buy it anyway. If you're someone who already likes my stuff, if this is a book you know you're already going to purchase, please make it on your pull list, because that'll help the orders. That was my message. And this lovely guy, Dan Cosmic, who also has a podcast that I've done at least once, he likes my stuff. He took a clip of the word balloon video out of context, and then he ran it around social media.
Right.
Where it's but even in the clip, it's me saying, if you're already buying my work, please ask your retailer. And suddenly 5 or 6 sites ran with their big yellow letters, Dan Slott is begging. Dan Slott is begging you. Suddenly AI artwork of me as a homeless person grabbing people by the ankles.
Right.
Please buy my Spider-Man comic, please.
Because in the YouTube world, that gets you clicks. Yeah.
That will get you clicks. And
I will tell you the main piece of information.
The most frustrating thing about all of it is one of the guys who was doing this, got 3 videos out of it. 3 videos out of Dan Slott is begging. Wait. And most of his videos start with a message from him begging you to subscribe to his thing.
That's right.
Yep.
That's called irony.
So on the related to this distribution debacle, I think at this point, what about online sales? Like, do they take that consideration? Digital? Yeah, digital, because I'll be honest with you, I didn't have time to go to the store, so I bought it on my Amazon Kindle and read it.
Yeah, digital does amazing things. Like different versions of how you choose to buy your media has a different effect in the ecosystem.
Okay.
So, for example, when I was working on Amazing Spider-Man, I had these long, drawn-out mysteries for who was the new Venom.
Right.
And you were going to get this mysterious, we weren't going to call him Agent Venom.
Right.
But this military Spider-Man doing all these missions. And you wouldn't see it using the symbiote power at first. You'd just be like, oh my God, there's like Snake Eyes from G.I. Joe, but he's got Spider-Man stuff and he's kicking ass.
Yes.
And he's taking out Hydra and he's doing all these missions. Who is this military Spider-Man?
Right.
And we had a long game, and the storyline Ends of the Earth was going to be Spider-Man teamed up with that guy, and Black Cat, and it wasn't going to be Silver Sable and Black Widow. It was going to be Spider-Man and that military Spider-Man that we've been hinting at, and Black Cat doing this mission around the world to stop Doc Ock and the Sinister Six from doing all the Ends of the Earth stuff.
Right, right.
And at one point, he was going to get horribly wounded, and he was going to Venom out. And Spider-Man was going to be like, "Oh shit, that guy's Venom." The military, must have taken it off of Gargan and put it on to like their best soldier, and oh my God, it's that guy. And so at the end of the adventure, he was like, "I'm going to find you and I'm going to hunt you down." And that was going to be his new big thing, was I'm going to hunt down who the new Venom is. And then there was going to be like a whole big Spider-Man versus Venom storyline, and Spider-Man was going to get some epic hit on Venom, and Venom was really hurt, and he gets away, and Peter opens his apartment, and there's Venom in his apartment, like bleeding, like that. He goes, and he came to Peter for help, and you're like, what? And he was going to go, Puny Parker, and you're going to be like, it's Flash. Oh my God.
Right.
But it was going to be a long, drawn out mystery over a year.
Right.
And David Gabriel one day just comes into the office when I'm there. And he goes, "What's your plans for Venom?" I tell him my long, drawn out story for like over a year. And he goes, "We have put Venom box sets and things and on the digitally and didn't offer any sales on it. We just put them up online. We made them available, and they are dominating our charts." This is telling me, as the senior VP of marketing, we need a Venom book, and we need it now.
Yeah.
The fans have spoken with how they spent their digital dollars.
Yes.
So that's like a digital sale. We got to do it. And I'm like, well, it's this. And he's like, okay, here's the deal. It's not a long drawn out thing. It's exactly what you have. You'll show it in one backup. You have a 0.1 issue to tell the story your way. And then we're passing it off to another team, and they will write the new Venom book. I was like, you got it, Chief. Because it's Marvel. You're not, it's not, look at me, I'm writing Invincibles from my own characters. That's part of the price you pay for getting to write the character that you own all the action figures of and grew up with the lunchbox and your footy pajamas, is that sometimes you make the hard call. They have to make the hard call, and you got to go with it.
Yeah.
You know that toy, that one that you want to play with for, over a year, you get it for a day. Yeah.
No, but you see, it also helps create stories. So like, for example, I was not allowed to use Norman Osborn for almost the entirety of my run because he was off in Dark Avengers or Thunderbolts or the Osborn miniseries. And I was not able to use Carnage for most of my run, almost the entirety. Pretty much the entire. I got to use Green Goblin starting with Superior Spider-Man with Norman.
Yeah.
And we did New Ways to Die, where we borrowed the character from the Thunderbolts office, but we had to return him as we found him. Because we were borrowing him. But I wasn't able to use Carnage for the entirety of my run on Spider-Man. Because there was always a Carnage miniseries that someone else was working on. It was just bad timing. And so people go, oh, you really love Doc Ock. And I'm like, I wasn't allowed to use Norman Osborn, Venom, or Carnage. There's only so many bullets in the gun. I can make up my own guys. I can use the rest of the Sinister Six. I can use, but Doc Ock was my biggest gun that I had. So it wasn't that I had this like overwhelming love of Dr. Octopus. I was like, he was the piece I can play with the most. So but like with my last year of Spider-Man, I had all these milestones that I kept hitting, and very much like some kind of marathon runner. Every time I hit a milestone, I'd like, okay, I can make it to the next one, because I did it for like 10 and a half years. So it's like I was running out of, okay, if you get to this issue, you've done more of this than anybody else, or you've done more of that, or you've done blah, blah, blah. And I got to the point where when I was hitting 800, I'd already written 600 and 700. And when I got to 800, the next milestone was 900. And I was like, I can't. I'm tired. And that's what got me to kind of get winded. So I knew 800. I asked him, can I leave at 801, which annoyed the hell out of everyone, because for relaunching the books. But my take was, I wanted 800 to be fireworks, and I wanted to go out on a boy who collected Spider-Man story. I wanted the small story after the fireworks. And they were very nice, and they gave in to me and let me do 801. But I knew for like a year ahead, because 800 was going to be my final tent pole. And I told everyone I was leaving, and I went to editor Nick Lowe, and I said, I don't give a shit what anyone else is doing. I get Norman Osborn. I want a lock on Norman Osborn. No one else will be using Norman Osborn for this year, and I get a lock on Carnage. Like, I want to finally tell a Carnage story. And I had on my whiteboard over there for ages, for like a year, knowing that was going to be my 800. It was 800, Norman Osborn and Carnage. I thought they'd be the two of them teaming up in my head. And it was on the board for like months. And one night I was like getting a drink in the middle of the night, and I stopped by the whiteboard, and I was tired, and I was like, Norman Osborn with the Carnage symbiote? Like, I thought that was the note. And I went, that's good. It's like, oh my God, that's so much better. And then like I grabbed the thing and I started scribbling, and then I grabbed the red marker, like on the board. I went, Red Goblin. I was like, yes, that's my out.
Yeah, boy, that was such a cool character, though. That was a cool design, and he lasted all the way up till Kate's Absolute Carnage. Though.
Yes.
The Red Goblin design. We had to get Ed McGuinness to design it. Stuart Immonen, one of the greatest artists ever, but he doesn't like doing the designs. And they wanted it so far ahead. And the reason they wanted it so far ahead is we have the Hasbro guys coming in at the retreats. When they heard Red Goblin,
yeah,
and the story where Spider-Man would have to put on the Venom suit to fight him and have a new version of Black Spider-Man, we were going to redesign it.
Yep.
They almost shit themselves. They were like, oh my God, we want to. I was describing like the way the glider would have the mouth and it could open and close, and and he would throw pumpkin bombs that actually talked and laughed like Carnage, and they were just like, we have to see the designs now. So they got Ed McGuinness to do the designs like a year early. And they were told like, and now we lucked into the best marketing on this book. Yeah. Because the way it worked was they called us and they went, oh guys, we're really sorry, but Toy Fair's coming up. And we have the figures are going to be ready in time. We want to show off Red Goblin. And we're like, no, don't show. Yeah. No, it should be a big surprise. Fuck you, no.
Right.
and they were like, nope, sorry, we got to show it. Maximize everything. And I was like, F them. I love the Hasbro team. They're great. They do so much of the stuff and they send me freebies. So, but I was like, screw them. We'll do a whole series of backup stories, the road to Red Goblin. So we'll get it out first. Nice. And we had the first one like leaves house, and I'm all like, yeah, we beat them before Toy Fair. Yeah, we did Red Goblin, ours. And you get this call going, guys, we're really sorry that the toys aren't ready. We're not going to get to the Toy Fair. And I'm like, damn it. But what happened was everyone freaked out at the thought of Red Goblin.
Yeah.
And our sales kept going. And any issue that had a backup, the road to Red Goblin sold out and kept selling out and kept doing new printings. And we lucked into like the best marketing plan.
Yeah.
Because we were trying to screw over Hasbro.
So I'll ask you, and this just your thoughts.
Yeah.
Is there a better way to market the books? Because I feel like there's not enough on Marvel pushing the books. It feels like it falls to you guys to say.
You sound like me talking to Tom Brevoort to the point where like I'll be talking to Tom Brevoort like on a random call and he'll be like, are you trying to save the industry again? Like, are you trying to figure out the magic formula?
Yeah, exactly.
Because it's frustrating because I'll be in a meeting like back in the day where I'm seeing all these guys trying to make at Marvel explaining like on the marketing side the problems with going through Walmart. Mm-hmm. How if we could just break through this or come up with this model and you've seen these guys work on it and the brick walls they're hitting, and then you go online and someone goes, why don't they just put them in Walmarts? God, they're stupid. And there's all this machinery of smart guys trying to figure this out.
Yeah.
So it's frustrating. Yeah. So yeah, the books, the catalog gives things away 3 months ahead of time. You have to order 3 issues blind. There's all these other things vying for your attention. And some books won't get a fair shake before the reader gets a chance to see them. And even like right now, this is a magic window we have for people read Spectacular Spider-Man. And if they liked it, they can call this weekend and still make that final order cutoff. And we can still change it for issue 2 if you're a retailer. We're in a magic window. Not everything gets that.
Right.
But even with that, it's hard. If we can pull this off, I'll be super happy.
Yeah.
But if we don't, I'm not gonna, you pick yourself up and you dust off and you do the next thing.
Right.
But it is frustrating, and I don't know how to fix it. And smarter people than me don't know how to fix it. So this is what it is right now. Boy, that's frustrating. But I can say,
It has to be.
If you want your vote to matter as a reader, you can buy digitally, and that could have an effect in one way.
Mhm.
And if you bought it in the trade later, if it was a landslide of people buying the trade,
Yeah.
they would go, well, we should try bringing the book back.
Right.
But the best case scenario, the best way to use your voice is if there's something that interests you, or fuck it, not even something that interests you. There's a book you already buy and like,
Mhm.
and you know you're going to buy it. You need to start a pull list. Your pull list is the pull list more than you going to the store. You go putting your feet in the store and reaching on the rack and going to the register and buying that. You are buying a book that the retailer has already ordered. When those sales come in and you
Right.
see those charts, that's not how many people bought it at the register. It's how many orders the retailer put in.
Yes.
So if you want your vote to count, it's not enough. And this sucks because you're like, but I'm the reader. Why is this up to me?
Yeah.
But if you do, the best way to spend your vote is to go to your retailer and say, these are the books I promised to pick up. This is my pull list, and start a pull list with your retailer. And then that affects them for how they order. So that's the best use of your vote. I'm not saying your vote in other cases doesn't count. It does. But if you want to maximize the greatest potential of your vote as a customer, then it's to create the pull list for everything. Even if it's a winning book like Absolute Batman that's dominating the charts.
Yeah.
But it helps out with that too. And Scott will appreciate it. But if you do it with the lower selling books, that's where it'll take the biggest hit, because the retailer will go, this guy. And the thing you have to remember is, if you start the pull list, it's a promise. There's so many retailers that have the pull list that people never pick up, or worse, they give them, here's everything from your box, and then they slip through and go, okay, I don't want that one and that one and that one. Like, they can magically put it back on the rack.
Right.
You have to commit. These are the things I'm going to buy, and I am going to buy them. And with the lower selling titles, it helps the most. With the biggest selling titles, it really does help. It allows Scott to go into a room with his chest out and go, now I want to do this. And they go, we will do that, Scott. And I've been in that spot, and it's great.
You know what? I think it's something fans probably need to understand about the industry today too, right? Because,
well, that's the caveat, right? Like we said, oh, Dan Slott was begging. Well, that's before we understood. And what he's explained here tonight is that you got this magic 5-day window. That's crazy.
And it's the only reason that exists is because where Spectacular falls on the month.
Yeah.
There are books that don't got that little magic window right now. We're very lucky. So I mean, it would kill me to put out a book like Planet She-Hulk, like Stephanie did, and with a lot of love and heart.
Yeah.
And before someone cracks open the cover, you're bummed. And it also puts pressure on us, and it's probably a good kind of pressure to have, is that first issue better be great.
Yeah.
My God. You think about did you like Cheers? Did you like the TV show Cheers? It languished in the bottom. It languished at cancellation.
Yep.
Until they got their stride, until they found their way, and then it became Cheers. Same with Seinfeld. If they ran like comics, they'd be dead. Or comics now.
Yes.
So yeah,
Family Guy too. That got canceled, and then they put it on another network, and then they brought it back.
It's crazy. But yeah, so we're with comics. Yeah, we have to come out hot and fast. The first issue is the only thing that can save you. It's horrible.
So I just want to apologize for the whole begging thing, because I'm the one that put it to Dave. And just so you know where my mind is at, Dan, I looked at him like, why is this legendary comic writer who's forgotten more good ideas than 10,000 people will ever think of, doing this? And now I completely understand. So, I so appreciate you giving us the time of day, giving the additional context. I just think
I did the exact same thing for my Thing book, back in the day. And we called the initiative Pull My Thing.
That's awesome.
Marvel was not happy with it. And the frustrating thing was we ran out of track. I think if we had one more issue, we would have pulled it off, because our sales had started going up. But they'd already pulled the plug.
Yeah, so I'm going to say to anyone who's watching this, go to the comic book store, put it on your pull list, because it is good. It's a fun story. It's something I haven't read in a while from Spider-Man, so I was really happy about it.
I'll go you one worse. Go pick up the first issue and read it, and then decide if you want to pull it.
Okay.
Because I have read some people online who went, yeah, this wasn't for me. So the last thing I want you to do is to buy something that you're not going to be happy with.
Don sent me a video, somebody reviewing it, and he started off by just saying, I don't like Brand New Day, so I'm not gonna like this. And it felt like that's the only reason he was tearing it down. And it's just it's unfair.
No, it's not. You're allowed to dislike it for any reason you want. You're allowed to go, I only like black suit Spider-Man stories. I only like stories with MJ in them. I only like, you're allowed. We're not, force feeding you gruel. We were offering you I used to, we got so much crap when we switched over to Superior Spider-Man. And my take was, it's Spider-Man. You want your monthly hit of Spider-Man. And it's like the Big Mac. You go to the store and you buy your Big Mac. And suddenly we took away your Big Mac and said, here's McRib. And people are like, I want my Big Mac. And Tom said to me, you'll know you won if when we get to the end, we start getting the letters of don't put Peter back.
Yeah.
And we got those. And I was all like, now we're taking away McRib. Here's your Big Mac. Here's your Big Mac, suckers.
I missed the big
love the McRib. Yeah, I love the McRib. He's absolutely right. If they had it all the time, I'd be like, fuck the big rib, but our McRib. But now,
you get it. So so sometimes you do that, and my favorite story to leave you with on this is there is this comic convention down by the South Street Seaport that they were doing for a while, and Midtown, I think it was Midtown Comics.
Yeah,
they had a booth, and they decided they were going to do something weird that year. They were going to get comic book, celebrities to just do 1 hour at their booth. So, oh my God, there's Tom King for 1 hour, and there's Kelly Thompson for 1 hour, and there's So I go as a favor and I do my 1 hour, and I'm leaving, and this kid, I'm old, he's probably like 20 or something. Kid comes running up with a short box, and he's like, Mr. Slott, Mr. Slott, Mr. Slott. I'm like, I just missed you at Midtown. Like, can you sign my comics? I'm like, yeah, sure. So we pull aside a little table, and I pull out the Sharpie, and I'm just like signing through his short box. And this these guys going, I got to tell you, you taught me a valuable lesson because I was someone who was a complete dick to you online about Superior Spider-Man. But I stayed with it and I kept reading it. And now I got to the end. It is like one of my favorite Spider-Man stories of all time. It is like, you taught me a very valuable lesson. I need to get to the end of the story before I judge it.
Yeah.
While I'm like signing, I was like, so how you liking Secret Empire? And he goes, fuck Nick Spencer, fuck Nazi Cap.
Brilliant.
Yeah, so I get it. I totally get it.
Yeah.
We're all that person, and I know I've done that shit too. Like in my youth, I know I did that shit too for like DC Millennium.
Oh.
I wanted to kill people.
Yeah.
So I get it.
So, all right. Yes, we've been talking a long time. You've been so gracious. I know you got
absolutely, man.
There is a question though we normally end on, so I want to ask you this. And that question is, how do you measure success?
Measure success. Like we were talking earlier, and I was saying about how from this point on it's gravy.
Mm-hmm.
It's when I hit those. Like I hit so many of those this year where and I didn't see it coming. And it was suddenly like staccato. It was like, you get to tell an MCU story. I'm like doing that Fantastic Four one shot. And I was like, we never do that. We never do stories set in the MCU.
Right.
That was fun. And they had to approve it. So like Feige read it and Grant, the producer of Fantastic Four, read it. And I was like getting notes. I'm like, this is cool. And like, I grew up, Jerry and Ross Andrews, The Amazing Spider-Man versus Superman was my top 3 comics. It was one of my top 3, and it just stayed there forever. Just how momentous that was. And I got to take part in Spider-Man Superman this year.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God, with my buddy Marcos Martin. I was like, and when they told me I could take part in it and do one of the shorts, I was like, I was over the moon. And they were like, okay, you can tell any story you want, but not Superman, Spider-Man. Like it's someone from the Superman world and from the Spider-Man world. And I kept pitching them things that were basically Superman, Spider-Man. I wanted to do. And it wasn't until, CB said, like, pick someone from the Spider-Verse. I'm like, I could do Spider-Man Noir, Golden Age Superman, Fleischer Superman. And went, okay, that's cool. Yeah, do that. They're like, nice. You got to do that. And there's I don't know if you've read there's a Superman annual, and I did a backup this year. It's called Superman Chains of Love, and it was about the Creeper and Livewire together as a couple.
No, I haven't read that yet.
I did a backup, and it was a backup like it was on my wish list of Superman stories to always tell. And I got to finally tell this story. I was so happy. So it was like one of those like tick that box, and Superman's barely in it.
Yeah,
it's all about there's a dimensional tear, and things from Bizarro world and our world are swapping places.
Yeah,
and there's one person who flops. So a normal Metropolis guy wakes up in Bizarro world with his Bizarro wife and his Bizarro kids and his Bizarro job, and it's what his life is like until Superman can fix it. Yeah, and I wanted to do that forever. Like the guy's like walking to work and someone like mugs him. And he's like, take my money. What's going on? Like what it's like to live in Bizarro world.
All right, I have to check that out.
and there's like 2 things coming up this year. Like I think I told you it's already announced. One of them's already announced. So I'm like, I get to be part of Action Comics 1100.
Yes.
And you're like, Jesus, that's weird. And there's something else like that too, where I just go like, well, just so yeah, if suddenly I wasn't writing comics next week or after that project comes out, like even though it's like a tiny thing or a little thing, I've got enough of those throughout my career where I look at them and I go, yeah, I can stop. I can rest. I'm fine. I'm happy. I got to do this. I got to have I got to have John Romita Sr. draw a couple of covers that are originals on my books. I got to, when I was growing up, I was reading Gil Kane stuff. He was one of the first artists I could spot their style, and I go, that's a Gil Kane thing. I'm going to read Green Lantern now. I'm going to read this. I'm going to read that because I like Gil Kane. I did a Two Gun Kid story with Gil Kane as one of my earliest assignments. And I'm like, well, I can stop now. Like, so to me, that's the success thing. It's the I can stop now, and I'm not gonna cry a tear if it's over. I've got enough of these in my belt where I'm like, yeah, that was good. it's all gravy.
That is an awesome way to look at it. It's a pleasure to talk to someone in the business who just loves what they do and is happy with the career they've had, and that it's awesome. It really is.
Yeah, it's like the next big hurdle. It's the thing I always keep meaning to do, but I keep meaning to do creator own, and I never get around. And I have all these ideas for creator own stuff, but I grew up in love with Spider-Man and Superman and Batman and The Thing and all these guys, and every now and then someone lets you, like, people who know me know that, like, my favorite thing of all time is Doctor Who. I got to do a Doctor Who a couple years ago. Like, I got to, so it's like, yeah, someone can knock on my door and go, and there's stuff that's wide open to me that people have gone, whenever you want to come over to do this, you can do it. So, like, I've kind of got like a green light on Star Wars and Star Trek.
Oh,
and how do you not?
Yeah.
How do you not go like, well, I'll head over to Creator Own now, and
that's ever since Spider-Man showed up in a pickup truck. It's all been downhill from there.
Yeah, it's all gravy, man.
All right. Well,
if you do the Star Wars thing, though, gotta warn you. They don't like lesbian space witches. I love the Acolyte, but boy, people really seem to be unjustly angry at that subject matter, so stay away from it.
All I got to do if I'm doing a Star Wars to scratch the itch, I know everyone's like, oh, Luke, Leia, Han, Darth Vader. For me, it's all the droids. It's all about the droids. Just let me do R2-D2 and C-3PO. Yeah, any era, anything, just that would, like, the itch I'd have to scratch. And with Star Trek, it would be like, you know, I love the original and I love Next Gen. There's so much love about all of it. I wouldn't know where to start.
Yeah,
you know, like Mike Mann's Lower Decks was amazing.
Mm-hmm.
There's so much good stuff out there.
All right. Well, thank you very much for coming on, sir. And for everyone watching, as always, thanks for watching. Don't let your cape get caught in the door. See you next time.
If you haven't done so yet, subscribe. It really keeps this podcast alive. Smash the like button if you please. It gives us what we need. Maybe leave a comment or two. It's a really nice thing to do. And what are you waiting for? Visit